Hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Tim Wortham Jr. I am a proud Eastern alumnus, and I am also blessed to serve Eastern as the Vice President of Alumni and Family Engagement. And now I'm actually a prospective Eastern parent with my daughter Jordan in her junior year of high school. She has Eastern on her short list of schools that she's looking to apply to. And so this event is exciting for me on a number of levels. Number one, I get to just share my love for Eastern. And I get to converse with one of my favorite colleagues, Heather Norcini. And so what I'm going to do to get us started today is I'm going to give Heather an opportunity to introduce herself, and then I'm going to pepper her with a few questions. And if time permits, we will actually take some questions from you all. If you would utilize the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to submit your questions, and we will pose them to Heather. And we are expecting another panelist. He should be joining us shortly. And so between the two of them, you'll get some great information today, I can assure you. And so at this time, I am pleased to present to you all Heather Norcini.
Thank you, Tim. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to attend this Life as an Eastern Parent webinar. We are pleased that you made the space to do so. My name is Heather Willits Norcini. I graduated with a degree in education from Eastern College in 1989 and returned to Eastern as an employee in 2008 and have been here ever since. I work for the Office of the President as executive assistant to the president. My husband, Bill, is an Eastern graduate as well from the class of 1988. We have two daughters, Elizabeth and Emily. Emily graduated from Eastern in 2021 with a degree in education. She transferred to Eastern from another school in her sophomore year and is so grateful and proud to call herself an Eastern alumna. She is employed as a preschool teacher at the Heritage School at Church of the Savior in Wayne, where she student taught. And I see that Dr. Randolph Walters has joined us. Welcome, Randolph.
Hey, thank you.
So Dr. Walters, at this time, I am allowing both you and Heather an opportunity to introduce yourselves. Tell us a bit about your affiliation with Eastern and who your Eastern student is.
Okay. Well, so this is a webinar, right? So there are others who are just joining us. We can't see them, but they can see us. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so welcome all of you out there. We're so glad that you can join us today. We appreciate you taking the time out to be with us, and it's certainly my honor to share with you. So I came to Eastern University in 1994 from all across the Atlantic Ocean. I came to Eastern because of its mission. I was in the Caribbean. I'm from the Caribbean, from Barbados, and I was looking for school to do some graduate work in counseling. And I happened to get a brochure of a counseling program that had started at Eastern. It was, when I came, it was actually one semester old, so I was in the first class. I was one of the guinea pigs, really. It was a new program. And so I came to Eastern because of its mission. When I read the vision and mission of Eastern, I said, oh, that's me, like, wow. That it really matched where I was theologically, where I was in terms of my vision, my sense of God's call on my life. And I contacted Eastern, turned down another opportunity to go to university in Florida, and the rest is history. So I completed that master's program in 1995. I also created my own dual master's. I wanted to go to seminaries, so I created a dual program and did a master's in theological studies with a concentration in missiology at, it was then Eastern Baptist Theological Seminary. I finished that in 96, so I'm a graduate 95 and 96. Immediately I stayed the faculty in the counseling program at the time said that they thought I was a natural. That's their assessment. And they wanted me to stay. I started to help teach some classes. I went on and did my doctorate in clinical psychology. So I'm a clinical psychologist. And I work and teach in the program. And then I got a visiting professor position, and then eventually a tenure track. So I have been in that program as a professor since 95. I've been at Eastern for 27 years, and I've helped to grow and the counseling program develop. We've graduated thousands of students that are all over the world, changing lives. And then as a parent, my first son came and would have been the class of 2010. He didn't finish. My second son, 2012. And I have a daughter who is the class of 2022. She's a senior. Guess what? You probably might guess. Yeah, she's a senior in psychology. I had nothing to do with that, but you know how that stuff works. I didn't tell her, like, you have to do psychology. She ended up there to her own process. That studies girl. We're very close. She's my pride and joy. So it's not surprising. So she lives on campus now and will graduate next year. So that's my little journey, both academically and professionally. I also taught a course in the doctorate in marriage and family for many years, back in the 90s, when they had the doctorate in marriage and family. So I've been around for a while and you know, in both areas. So that's it. Tim, I hope that was helpful.
Excellent.
Answer your
Perfect.
question.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you
so
look
much.
pretty sharp this morning.
I have to represent Eastern the right way. So I want to go ahead to my first question here, and I'm going to start with you, Heather. And I'm going to ask, if you think back to your child's first year here at Eastern, was there anything that you wish you knew but you didn't at the time?
Let me unmute. Yes, two things come to mind, Tim. One's very important. Even though we pay the bills for our kids, there's something called FERPA. It's like when you go to the doctor's office and you have to sign the consent forms. So there's something educators need to sign, or parents of students need to sign. It's called the student consent form for parental and guardian access. It can be found on the Office of the Registrar's portion of the website. The purpose of the consent form is to allow parental access to student information in compliance with FERPA, which is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act of 1974, and the amendments to that act. So again, that can be found on the Office of the Registrar portion of the website. That'll give you access to talk to different departments at Eastern about your student. So that's very important. Also, from personal experience, if your student had an IEP, an individualized education plan in high school, be in touch with the Center for Counseling and Academic Support, regardless if your student doesn't think they will need the extra help. So I learned that it's better to have accommodations in place at the get-go instead of scrambling to get them in place when your student is in trouble. So two tips: that student consent form for parents and guardians, and that's on the Office of the Registrar web portion of the website, and also being in touch with the Center for Counseling and Academic Support if you think your student will need extra support.
Awesome, thank you.
I think there's a question in the chat related to FERPA. If you may want to follow up on that.
Okay.
So,
information.
yeah, so the question is, what information does the FERPA form allow you to access? And I'm not sure of all the information, but it allows you to talk about your students' finances and may allow you to access grades and other things. So I believe it's delineated in the on the website at the Office of the Registrar. Let me see if I can research that while Randolph goes to his next question.
Well, there is also a little bit of a follow-up there, Heather, that you may be able to address. Is the parental consent form something we fill out on our own or with our student, or does the student fill it out?
Oh, with the student. The student actually gets to give you permission to fill out the form.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And Dr. Walters, do you have anything to add to something that you wish you had known when you were a first-year Eastern parent, but you didn't know at the time?
I think what Heather said is important. I would say some of the services that are available to student development and being at Eastern for many years, there are some things I obviously did not know because I didn't have to deal with it. So really the whole, living in a dorm and all of the requirements and things that I needed, I had to learn about a lot of that stuff in terms of helping my sons sort of transition. And so that's what I would say, learning about dorm life and that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Now, of course, for the two of you, your experience is a bit unique because you're both not only Eastern graduates, but you also work here at the university. So your institutional knowledge is far greater than the average parent. So what would you tell a parent who is less familiar with the institution about its culture? How would you describe Eastern's culture? We can start with you, Dr. Walters.
Well, if you think that I came to Eastern at 1994 from another country and I never left, that says I've given the university almost half of my life, a little less than half of my life. That speaks for itself. I would say that Eastern is a place that's welcoming. You will find that people are welcoming. Eastern is not a perfect place by any means. And I always say that the university is a microcosm of the wider culture. So, there are things that you see out there in the culture that we have to deal with. And so it's not a perfect place, but it's a wonderful community. So it's welcoming. You'll find that people are warm. And these are comments that we've heard from students, we hear from parents, we hear from new hires. I was just talking to one of our new hires yesterday, and she reported similar things in terms of how she felt welcome. So it's a welcome community. There's a very strong sense of community embedded in our core values of faith, reason, and justice. And we also talk about diversity and equity and belonging. It is very palpable, our focus on faith, that our faith undergirds how we think about community, how we think about education, how we think about the kind of community that we want to be embedded in the gospel, and how we understand how we're to love and treat people. And there are a lot of opportunities for our students for worship. There's a weekly chapel, but there are also opportunities in student groups. You'll find that professors, I think this is a distinctive, are very caring and passionate. They get involved in students' lives. They take time with students and they want them to succeed. People who come to Eastern generally, and I'm talking here about professors, it's true of staff as well, but a lot of professors stay here for a long time. And, we're not a Harvard, professors are not paid what a Harvard or Princeton professor is paid. but people are very missionary. When they come here, they want to stay. And professors are very embedded in helping our students to grow and building relationships with them, not just lecturing. So I think those are some of the distinctives in terms of our culture. Very strong on social justice issues and connecting what we teach our students with the real world and community, that because we're preparing them to go out there and serve in the world. So a lot of focus on making that connection, the practical, the academic to real life, and that social justice piece, that service to community, service to humankind, irrespective of major, is, I would say, a core theme as well. We call it our faith integration. How do we integrate our discipline and our faith, and bringing the two of those together so that we can create opportunities for our students to be able to go into the world and function in whether they have done history, or whether they've done engineering or data science or psychology or business, that thinking of themselves as a servant going out to serve. So those are some, I would say, key distinctives.
Excellent. And Heather?
I would definitely agree with Randolph. Although Eastern isn't always as good at telling its own story. I think that comes with a humbleness that is represented here. Our students are kind, they're considerate, they're caring. The professors, the staff, the graduates, the board of trustees, they're all accomplished, thoughtful, kind-hearted, respected individuals whose goal it is to provide excellent instruction and guidance for your student. And as Randolph said, education at Eastern is about transformation. And the community here is really special. I would agree wholeheartedly with Randolph about that.
Excellent. And we just received a question in the chat that is related to my next question about the neighborhood and the community and some of the conveniences that are afforded our students just by being in this area. And so I'll read the question that was submitted. It says, our daughter has really struggled to grow spiritually while at Eastern University. She's tried crew with good results and the worship nights have been solid, but getting to and from a local church on weekends, if she wants, has been hard. Any wisdom or direction on that?
Heather, you want to?
I would recommend that she contact that church and see if there are any parishioners, the church that she might identify that she'd want to go to, see if there are any parishioners who live in the area who could provide rides, or maybe that church already does provide rides and she doesn't know about it. Another avenue would be to talk to whom the students call Joe Mo, our chaplain, Reverend Dr. Joseph Modica. They call him affectionately Joe Mo. And I would have your student connect with him and see if he knows of any resources. I know my home church in Paoli, Pennsylvania, at some points has provided transportation to and from church, local churches. And that would be my first suggestion.
And for the both of you, what would you say about this neighborhood, this community? What are some of the conveniences that are afforded our students being in this St. David's, Wayne area?
Well, the St. David's, Eastern is located on what we call the main line. Read something years ago. This area is one of the wealthiest in terms of concentration of areas parts of the country. So it's not only is it beautiful, but there are a lot of stores and good restaurants and stuff like that all across the mainland. The other thing I wanted to highlight is Eastern is located very close to, and maybe what, 10 minutes drive perhaps. We take that back road off Eagle. Eastern is located very close to the King of Prussia Mall, which it used to be the largest mall in the country. I read something recently, it said is #2. So whether it's 1 or 2, it's just a amazing mall. So I mean, you can't get better than that when you're very close to either the first or second biggest mall. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful area that's grown and developing. Wonderful restaurants. I go there to eat on occasion when I'm taking my family out. I have some restaurants that I love. And the mall is just beautiful. So that's a great area. And of course, Eastern is not far from the city of Philadelphia, maybe half an hour or something, depending on what route you take from one of the great cities, historical cities in this country. And it's not far from Villanova University, on the end of us, and so on. So it's just a beautiful area where it is located, and the campus itself is just breathtaking. So a lot of resources. If we talk about medical facilities, Philadelphia has, and Eastern too is in an area. There is perhaps one of the largest concentration of schools. When you take the city of Philadelphia downtown and out, right, environs where Eastern is and other schools, we have one of the largest concentration of schools in the country. We go to Drexel University, University of Penn, go to Villanova. We go to campuses in Penn State and Widener, Cabrini College, now universities is across from us. We're in an area full of, academia. So it's just a great location. So that's what I would say to that.
And to answer the question that was posed, which is the easiest train station to get in order to travel to Philadelphia? How do students get to the train station if they don't have a car? So back in my day, we used to walk everywhere. My daughter doesn't like to walk as much as I do, but we would walk to the St. David's train station. There's a path on campus that leads you to the St. David's train station. It's up behind Doane Hall, which is a residence, and Adams Hall, which is where our campus services facilities are, and Ott Hall, which is where Tim's office is. So there's a lovely paved path there that takes you out to, I believe, Shimoni Drive, and you just take a left and walk straight until you hit the St. David's train station. Your student will have to figure out which side they use to go toward Westchester, or east toward the city. The far side is the east side. So if you're going into Philadelphia, you want to go on the Lancaster Avenue side, the far side. And if you want to go into Malvern, you go into the close side. But they'll figure that out, and then they can talk to the conductor on the train and ask, am I on the right train? Also, Wayne, in addition to all that Randolph said Wayne and King of Prussia offer, there are churches in the area that can be walked to as well. So that's another thought that I had for the previous question. And there are pharmacies, banks within walking distance. And I don't know if Randolph offered Washington, D.C., but that's also accessible by train.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Heather said, Yeah, that is the R5. When you go to the Trent St. David stations, the R5. The R5 takes you right down to Center City, Philadelphia. And you can get off at, I forgot, well, there's 30th Street Station, but the R5 takes you even further. I forgot the name of the stop that puts you around.
Yeah, one is Suburban Station.
Well, Filbert Station.
Jefferson, yeah.
Right now, I remember in my early days here, I took the R5, and I lived at what was the seminary then in Wynwood, and I would take the R5 from Overbrook to get to Eastern. And so it's a straight shot. And these days we have security, so your child can, there's a van that's run by the security office that takes students back and forth. So they can just call, find out the schedule, get a ride to St. David's. Like Heather said, back in the day, we would walk. And now we have some security that does that. They can take them to the train and then they'll get it to the city. There's also, I think that's the fastest way, but there's also another train that I think it is the 10 trolley that goes in the Radnor area. A lot of students are picked up from there, but that takes you, I think it can takes you to 69th Street, and then there are lots of stuff you can get there to get to the city. But the R5 is, I would say, the most direct way. So it's an easy way to get to Philly in public transport.
And I think if you're walking from Hainer Hall, I think I saw that question. What do you think, Randolph? Maybe about 20 minutes?
Say that again, what's the question?
How long does it take you to walk from Hainer Hall to the St. David's train station? I think I'm a fast walker, but I think 20 minutes is just about it.
I think 20 minutes is about right. Yeah. But as I said, if they find out what are the times, I don't know if it's every 15 or half an hour or something, but they can get a ride from security to the state train station.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe 20 minutes is about right. Yeah, I walk fast, so it may be less. And there are a lot of back roads from the campus and stuff, so that makes sense.
And it's beautiful as well. And I also wanted to say something else about the neighbors. We have incredible neighbors. And in fact, I still have a relationship with the neighbors whom I got friendly with when I first came as a student here. And I cherish that. And I'm really grateful that we have, we're in the center of a neighborhood and that we do have incredible neighbors.
Excellent. Now, we started off with you talking about some things you wish you knew when your child was a first-year student or in their first year here at Eastern. But are there any other maybe lesser known resources that you would suggest parents familiarize themselves with? Anything else you want to add to the list for them?
Heather, you want to take that? And I can piggyback on you.
So sure. I thought of a few. Tim, you're asking about some other resources. Okay. I thought of 4 of them. They all happen to start with the letter C. Churches, local churches, the Center for Counseling and Academic Support, which I mentioned earlier, the Center for Career Development. Now, you all want to know, right, that your student is employable after they complete 4 or sometimes 5 years here? They are. In fact, 93% of the class of 2020 were employed, continuing education, or serving in full-time volunteer work within 6 to 9 months after graduation. I think those are pretty good statistics. And 81% of the class of 2020 reported that they had completed at least 1 internship during their time at Eastern. So our Center for Career Development is doing pretty good, pretty well. And then the last C is the Clary report. The Clary report is a report that our public safety office reports on yearly, and it tells about the crime statistics on campus. And our Clary report, while not perfect, I would say is pretty good. You can find that, access that on our website as well. And I believe the latest Clary report was just put up the other day. And Clary is spelled C-L-E-R-Y.
Heather, are you finished? I like, I don't know if this is a word, but I'll make it up. I have already, I like piggying back on what you said. So I'm going to piggyback on what you said. So tremendous resource, CCAS stands for the Cushing Center for Counseling and Academic Support. A lot of great resources there. So there is professional counseling provided to our students at no cost to them, of course. We have some professional therapists that work there, so students, and there's so much demand now for counseling. I know they have a waiting list, but students meet with a professional counselor and have sessions weekly, or how often they work it out with the therapist. That's a great resource. We have a lot of students really nationally that's struggling with depression and anxiety, in addition to other, just the adjustment to school and life. So much life is stressful. So that's a great resource. But also in CCS is some really great things as well. There's other things, academic support, there's writing support. So students need help with writing. They can get support and meet with a writing specialist to help them even look at papers and improve their writing. And also, if they have disability, of course, as a university, we follow not just FERPA, but the American with Disabilities Act, ADA. So any person that has a diagnosis that meets criteria as a disability need to be provided for. So there are a lot of things that parents don't know, our students don't understand. So for example, if a student suffers with test anxiety, which is a real thing, or with depression or with anxiety, that diagnosis has to be documented by a professional, and whether it's a psychologist or psychiatrist or other mental health professional or medical doctor, and they can get accommodation. So they need to report that and have documentation to the administrator of that program in CCS. And then their names are given to the professors in their various classes, letting them know, you know, Tim Worthington is, you know, has this, you know, he should be provided with accommodations, and the professor will work out those accommodations. Sometimes that might require, for example, giving them more time on tests or extra time to submit a paper or whatever it is based on the medical or, you know, mental health issue. So that's another important support. And faculty members work with our students because, of course, as the university, we have students who are coming in with all various needs. So the goal is to walk with our students and help them to be successful. And so I wanted to sort of emphasize that and spell that out a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So the last question I have for you both, and I'm going to come to you first, Heather, on this one, is just simply, do you have any words of wisdom or advice for first-time college parents?
Thanks, Tim. I do. Be available for your students to listen, and don't do everything for them. Continue to teach them how to fly on their own. While preparing for this interview, I stumbled upon this from Merriam-Webster on animal machine words for all types of parenting. There are several types of parents: the elephant parent, the tiger parent, the helicopter parent, the lawnmower parent, the snowplow parent, the bulldozer parent, the jellyfish parent, curling, as in the Olympic sport, parent, and the dolphin parent. So the dolphin parent has rules and expectations, but also values creativity and independence. They're collaborative and use guiding and role modeling. So continue to be like the dolphin parent.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather. How about you, Dr. Walters? Any advice?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have some things. So one of the first things I would like to say is be involved in your child or children's life, but know your boundaries. And certainly FERPA set some boundaries for you. Heather said, you pay the bills, but you don't just get access to everything, because it's a kind of respect for them as adults. But be involved. And so with that, I would like to say, and I want you to hear this, please call annoyingly. Please call annoyingly. What do I mean by that? Your child will probably be annoyed that you're calling so much, but let me say, they need it, they just don't know it. They need it, they just don't know it. And sometimes those calls, you can leave a message. I just want you to know I've been thinking about you, or I'm praying for you, or, I saw this t-shirt on this site, I thought it would be nice, and sending it to you, or I remember you have an exam coming up and I'm just praying, just checking in to see and make sure you're not skipping your meals. But one of the things about adolescence, and some of your kids are coming to Easton, they're 18, 19, or young adults, is this whole idea of I hate you, don't leave me. I hate you, don't leave me. It seems like they want to push you in, now they're on their own, but really they don't want you to leave. And so when I say, call annoyingly, don't be afraid to call, to check in. Sometimes it's just leaving a message, sending a note. That means a lot. And my favorite Disney movie is The Lion King. And, I not only love Simba, but my favorite character is Rafiki, because I see Rafiki as the sort of master therapist. And I'm a therapist, so that connects with me. I see Rafiki as sort of like the Holy Spirit, right? He comes into Simba's life and got him in touch with his father that he had pushed aside because he was dealing with guilt, and it talks about remember. So you want to say to your child, remember the child of who you are. It's very African. Remember the child of who you are. And that is, don't forget you're you're a Wilson, or you're a Good, or you're a Walters, whatever. Remember the child of who you are. And that when they're there, they're representing you. And your calls and your connections are constant reminders of who they are. That they need to know that they have a home and people that love them back home. And don't make bad decisions, make good decisions, because there are people who are surrounding them that love them. And they need to be reminded, because college can be stressful, it's new, and that's why your calls are important. Two other things I want to say. I talked about being involved, but know your boundaries. Pray for your child because they need it. And those, I think notes and stuff, texts can be helpful. And finally, trust the community. It can be hard letting go of your child and put in them, because college is a time where all kinds of stuff happens. I can tell you this, I confess, when my daughter, a couple of years ago, was going to college, coming to Eastern, I did a date with her, daddy-daughter date, something I love to do. I sent her an invitation, an official invitation, and told her what time I'm going to pick her up. And of course, she lives in my house. And it was a real date. She got dressed up. And I took her to a very fine restaurant. And I remember it was a couple of days before she was going to move on Eastern. And I was thinking as a father and being in Eastern for many years, but I was thinking, oh my God, she could meet someone here because, you know, a lot of people meet their husband or wife on campus. And I'm one of those dads. I'm not ready. She's 21 now. And I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Honestly, think about that. Oh my God. And we had a really good talk. I opened up to her. She was very, very sharp, very smart, very good head on her. And we were able to talk about relationships. And so we do have some of those things we think about as parents, and it is hard letting go and thinking about what they're going to encounter. But and all of that is very normal, but I would say just trust the community and know that this community is a community that has resources and will do its best to take care of your child, because you can't be there all the time. And so encourage them to talk to whoever, you know. There are things and people that can be supported. And so that element of trust is important, that when they come to Eastern, we're going to do our best to ensure that they get what they need, and we want them to graduate, and we want to care for them, and we want to honor your trust and commitment that you put in Eastern University. So those are my words of wisdom.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you both so much. And I know we did have a question in the Q&A about just events that are happening here on campus that our parents and families are welcome to attend. There will be a host of things going on campus on Saturday. And if you're local, or if you just feel like taking the drive or making the trip up, you are more than welcome to join us right here on campus on Saturday. We have a full schedule of events available online at eastern.edu/homecoming. But we will have athletic events. We'll have our student clubs. We'll have their fall festival out to just kind of promote their clubs and activities. And we would certainly love to see you, love to meet you, love to have you. I know our Office of Alumni and Family Engagement will have a parents and family welcome table there. So please, starting at about, I think some of those athletic events will start pretty early, maybe around 11 o'clock in the morning, and be here and through the afternoon. So you are more than welcome to attend. The campus is open to visitors, and we would love to have you. And so before we let our fine, esteemed panelists go for the rest of their day, I just want to make sure we don't have any other questions. I see one just popped in. Let's see. Oh, just a thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you for attending. We are so happy you made it worth our while to have so many folks come out to hear this great information, and we do hope that it was helpful to each and every one of you. I want to express my gratitude to Heather and to Randolph for being so gracious and for joining us today and sharing of their wisdom and their expertise and their knowledge. You are amazing colleagues. I am very fortunate to work with you both. And to Rebecca Sharouk, who her camera's off right now, but she has been running tech support for us behind the scenes. Thank you so much for your support always. I appreciate you. And to all of you for being here again, thank you, and please have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you make it on Saturday, I look forward to seeing you. All right, everyone, take care.